Welcome back to the NIL Era podcast. My name is Elise Bian.
And I'm Fernando Andrade. As promised, we wanted to bring on NIL experts as guests to enhance our knowledge and showcase their experiences in the landscape.
Today, we are so excited to welcome four-time All-American, four-time All-Pac-12 honoree, U.S. national team member, and obviously UCLA Gymnastics icon, Miss Margzetta Frazier to the podcast. Margzetta, welcome to the NIL Era podcast.
It's such an honor to be here on your platform. Thank you so much for having me. And that was an awesome introduction.
Well, to start us off, Margzetta, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just a girl in this big wide world, freshly retired. As far as gymnastics, it's always been one of my biggest passions. I would say, in general, my biggest passion is creating, whether if that's creating a routine or creating something digitally or whatever. So this whole NIL thing, it's been awesome to capitalize off of it, especially seeing so many iconic Bruins before me and gymnasts from other schools that really didn't get the chance, but they definitely paved the way for me to get to where I am now. So it's been a long time coming.
Awesome. That's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about today and just your experience in NIL. I think you bring a lot to the table. Like you said, being a gymnastics student athlete, being at such a historic program and dynasty of a UCLA athletics. So we're so excited to have you on as our first guest. And yeah, we'll jump right into it. On this podcast, we've talked a lot about the marketplace and importance of just a strong university and athletic department brand. I think UCLA Gymnastics is historically a program, obviously, that goes viral for those floor performances and just entertaining gymnastics. So, how has your college experience of being specifically a UCLA gymnast shaped your NIL experience?
So the reason why I even chose to come to UCLA in the first place was because they showed interest in who I am as a person, not just an athlete. They saw the bigger picture for me and what I would be doing beyond my gymnastics years. And they kind of prepped the whole entire team to be media ready, career focused, academics focused. I'm sure Berkeley's the same way as far as making sure that your futures are solidified with the efforts you put into your academics and extracurriculars. So coming to UCLA, it is a very media-based program because we are in Los Angeles. They say UCLA Gymnastics is the best show in LA, which I agree. It is unlike any other. So I wouldn't say it put pressure on me to be kind of media trained. It was so natural to be media trained. And because of being so localized in the entertainment world in Los Angeles, you get a lot of opportunities. And I remember I had to decline several opportunities because NIL was not yet a thing. And say you wanted to do a music video, you couldn't even eat a sandwich that was given to you on set because it was free, a free product. And I would have to sign several waivers with the compliance office. They were always very patient with me before NIL to get me as many opportunities as possible because they just want us to succeed. And I'm sure it's hard for them saying no to certain things, but you have to stay eligible. UCLA set me up for NIL very quickly as far as just having access to compliance and their legal team and just people within the entertainment industry, agents. Everything was very seamless being in this program, and I feel like it was a great match with the situation that was going on.
With everything that you've talked about, Margzetta, from women's gymnastics being the best show in LA to all this compliance and everything going on in UCLA prior to NIL, I'm curious, once NIL did go through, were there any specific NIL resources that UCLA offered to student athletes that were, I don't know, helpful or either game changing with the whole NIL space?
Yes, we actually, not super immediately, but very close to when those rules a few summers ago got kind of introduced. Um, we have something called the Westwood Exchange on Influencer, the app, and that has been a huge platform for athletes to work with brands and companies and kind of propose brand deals or collaborations in a safe, monitored way. That way, UCLA's legal team has access to it. Agents can kind of put in deals and kind of squish out numbers or talk to compliance if there's any issues. It was kind of like a middleman just to make sure everything we were doing was legal and allowed. Since it's all very new and fresh, I feel like everybody was just trying to figure it out. I feel like we're still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of uncertainty with NIL. So I would say UCLA was one of the front runners as far as making sure athletes here had a solid platform to do deals on.
Just to fully understand there, Margzetta, was this legal team, was that part of the compliance at UCLA? Because, for example, at Berkeley, the Berkeley Law School does some free legal work for athletics. Is it the same thing for UCLA or that agent connection? Like, is it all under compliance, or how does that work?
Well, at the time, our compliance team was full of lawyers, so that was pretty easy. And they just kind of doubled. A lot of them went to law school and got their degrees, and so. But our law school, Anderson here, Anderson School of Law, they also do some free work for us, looking over contracts and just making sure everything is not sketchy and it's safe to proceed. So we have both. Introducing the law students is a little more on the newer side. They've been doing it for, I think, about a year now. But initially, it was mostly just the compliance and them using their legal backgrounds to kind of analyze the situations for us if we had anything super pressing or confusing.
I think something that you were saying is just how UCLA was so on top of it from the get go of that initial NIL passing. So, what advice do you have for those who want to get started in NIL? Maybe those who don't have an athletic department that is super up to date in the entertainment realm. What advice do you have for those individuals?
Well, what I can say, if you are interested in NIL and wanting to expand your brand and work with different brands or companies, it all starts with what you stand for as a human being. And your brand is how others perceive you from the outside. So you have to be really intentional with what you're promoting, what you set your mind to, what you're putting on your platforms, who you are associating with brand wise, company wise. I would stay true to you. Be true to yourself. Don't just take a deal because it's fast money. I know that I've done a deal that had to get canceled midway through because they kind of had some legal troubles with some bad publicity. So then my deal got absolutely canceled. So you cannot rely on a deal to you just can't rely on deals in the first place to go perfectly. And you want those deals, you want to do a lot of research to make sure that they align with your standards, to make sure that they're not in any troubled water, that they're not in any super controversial water, unless you're into that and that's your thing. So this brand is going through a bit of a controversy at the time, and it kind of backfired, hence the deal getting canceled, which was unfortunate because I was excited to work with them. But it happens. You just need to make sure that the eggs in your basket are ones that you truly believe in. That way, if a deal does fall through, you still have other eggs in your basket. That's probably so confusing, but all I have to say is stay true to your brand, what you want to promote. Don't just take a deal because it's money or it's free stuff. Make sure you do research on the deal. Make sure you can kind of serve your community and your supporters by replying back to comments, saying thank you to brands that do send you a deal. I know that it's part of NIL rules to disclose when something is gifted. And I know a lot of us are maybe getting PR packages. So, just to stay out of any legal troubles, make sure that you are following those guidelines and that you are disclosing if something is an advertisement or gifted. I would say those two things are the most important, just disclosing what you do, being transparent with your audience, and being true to who you are, and expect the unexpected. Things just like athletics, anything can happen. And with brand deals, anything can happen. So you need to be on your toes and alert for sure. But also, if it's brands that you trust, there shouldn't be an issue.
I would love to break this down from that main point of staying true to yourself to then getting those PR packages, right? Especially for me, I don't really have much experience with NIL. So, what would that path to success look like? I know you have a good platform yourself, you have hundreds of thousands of followers. So, is it starting there? Does it matter with the follower size? Like, where do you start? If you were to start from scratch, it's a freshman in college listening to us right now, what would they need to do to get in the NIL game today?
Everything is about community. Brands do not care if you have 1 million followers or 1,000. It's all about your community and whether if they are supporting you in a consistent fashion. It's called engagement in the social media world. So your engagement can be based on your insights and demographics, or do you have a bunch of bots because you wanted to buy some followers and make yourself look cool? Well, you buy 100,000 followers and you're only getting 100 likes on your pictures. That's not good engagement. Good engagement is if you have, let's say, 1,000 followers and you're getting at least 100, 200 likes on your pictures and like 20 comments, something like that. It should just be a very well-rounded, cohesive number or percentage proportionally. And that is your engagement. That's what brands care about. They care about spokespeople for their product who have a fan base that is organic and that is Jeez Louise, trustworthy of you as a spokesperson. So, yeah, they care about engagement. I would say if you're listening to this podcast and you're starting off wanting to get into the NIL world, find something that you're passionate about or that you're good at, make that your thing and engage with your community, respond to comments, collaborate with other creators who you look up to or who are your peers. There's so much you can do to just keep your community engaged. Try to go to some events around your area. I know that they have some events going on with different brands. Like I know tomorrow I have something going on with Amika, the hair brand, and they're not paying me, and but it's just fun to go get your name out there and socialize with your community and just speak and remind people that you're an actual person, not just an influencer or an NIL person. So there's so much to um, to look at as far as the bigger picture. Just connect with your community and staying authentic to who you are is the most important.
I do have a follow up there because I know for a fact that there's someone listening to this podcast at this moment that is even scared to start with that first post, with that first video. They don't know how to start. Like, if we can get into the very specifics of two things. The first one, what do you see today being the best platform? There's the classic YouTube, there is TikTok, there is Instagram, there is Snapchat. And then, as a follow up to that, if you have any advice or a personal story of when you did start, because at least for me, I know I have done podcasts before, I have experience with this, and it is nerve-wracking at the beginning. So I'm
Yes.
curious on the very very specific steps of platform or recommendations there, and then a piece of advice for anybody listening that's on the edge, not sure if they should start posting or not, but
Mhm.
they want to but they don't know how, so like how to get over that edge.
Well, I didn't start really consistently posting until COVID hit. And out of boredom, I just started posting. And eventually, I created a community that wasn't even gymnastics related. I was posting more comedic based content. And then I started incorporating my true brand, which is gymnastics. And I ended up creating quite a following. And so you just got to do it. I still get imposter syndrome when I'm on TikTok, and I feel like who really cares what I have to say? But at the end of the day, we're all people on the internet, and I feel like we all care about what everyone has to say to a degree. And so just do it. Life is too short to overthink. You never know unless you try. You can always post it and then delete it. I do that so much. I'll post it and then freak out and then delete it. But at least I posted something. So just try it. Anything. What really helps is I'm going to say the top platform right now is TikTok. TikTok has been taking over. There's trends that you can do where it's already laid out for you. You just click the audio and you participate in the trend, and it's a way for you to engage with different audiences, and you already have content laid out for you. So I would try that if you're a beginner to TikTok. As far as Instagram, which I would say is about in second place, I was fortunate enough to have meetings with Meta and YouTube Shorts. And the cool thing about TikTok is you can repost your video to all of the platforms. You can repurpose and recycle your videos. So, sure, you only post one video a month on TikTok, but make sure you're also putting it on your Instagram Reels and your YouTube Shorts. Or if you have an unedited unclipped version that's like 5, 10, 15 minutes long, put it on your YouTube and put it in captions and say outtakes. Like anything to just get you more engagement and more views. And you don't have to get a million bajillion likes, but just the fact that you're getting your name out there at all is a huge deal, and it's very tough. It's very scary. So you should be proud of yourself regardless of how you're doing. I know that when I speak to my agents, I should be posting a lot more, but it gets kind of tiring. It gets tiring. You know how you get like your social battery dies in real life? I feel like your social battery dies on the internet too. You just kind of want to go incognito and lay on your side and just scroll. You don't want to be a part of the fun. You just want to see what's going on. So I get it. But I would say TikTok is your biggest platform, but utilize all of the platforms. Repurpose your videos. Don't make it harder than it has to be.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key there is like work smarter, not harder. Like repurposing those
Right.
videos, putting it on every platform, whether it's long form or the clips. I think that is super important. I think something also you said earlier of that you don't even have to go to do a deal. Like you going out tomorrow to just a networking event. I think
Yes.
plug UCLA. I think that's something that your NIL kind of department does so well. I know you guys did a little event, I'm pretty sure last semester, last quarter, where they brought in brands and you guys just were able to talk to them, much like a networking event, but more so for your
Mhm.
brand and your NIL capacity. Can you speak a little bit on that and that event?
Well, branding events, I'm really appreciative to the school. I remember they brought in one of the head honchos of Nike to just speak to us on our athletic year experience. They actually brought Nike in a few times, and it felt really great to see who provides for our school as far as merchandise or say jerseys. I know that they started recently putting out basketball jerseys with the players' names on the back, and they're able to finally profit off of who they are as individuals, and that's so cool. Football too. Even with Madden going on, and isn't there a collegiate Madden? I'm not the biggest gamer, but I know some
Just
things. Okay.
dropped. It just dropped.
Right, just dropped. Like, that's a huge deal, and I feel like those events that UCLA put on for us, and I feel like they mostly did it so that these brands can speak to us, not necessarily so we can speak to them, but these brands wanted to know how they can please us as a demographic of student athletes, how they could help us profit off of who we are and our athleticism and our brands. So it's very 50-50 on that. I feel like it was a group effort. And like I said before, everyone's just trying to figure it out. There's so much uncertainty and mysteriousness with this whole NIL thing. No one knows what they're doing. And if anyone tells you they do, they're not telling you the truth because no one knows. I just went to NACDA, which is a huge athletic convention for you name it. Academics is there, compliance is there, ticket sales people are there, everyone's there. And no one knows anything about NIL. No, they're just trying to keep people safe, keep them following any rules that they do have in place, and hopefully avoid catastrophe. So it's a huge group effort getting everything organized and situated and figured out. And I appreciate UCLA for their transparency in that and getting how we feel, getting our point of view on things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a great transition into kind of this next section of how do you like having an agent and what does that kind of look like?
Right. So I love having an agent. They're the best. I actually have an agent and a manager, which is awesome. They are based in, I want to say Toronto, and they're called Dulcedo Agency. They have a modeling agency. I'm their only American gymnast. They had one Canadian gymnast who they were working with. So I really appreciate that they are so attentive to me and my needs. So my manager, Sophie, she is so sweet and kind and awesome. I had a deal with the Air Force actually a few months back, and she flew all the way from Canada to Houston, Texas to keep an eye on me while I was doing this video with the Air Force and this brand deal. So it's they just really have your best interest at hand, and she keeps everything organized for me. If there's an event going on, she sends me the flyer and asks me if I want to bring a plus one. She keeps me on it as far as, did you post yet? Did you do your edits yet? Um, Neutrogena needs their stuff today. Did you do it yet? She's on it, and I really appreciate it. Especially when I was doing gymnastics at the same time, she was such a lifesaver in keeping me organized because you have gymnastics, and then you're in season, and then you have school, and now you have to do these brand deals with legitimate brands. Like, these are your clients. In our emails back and forth, we refer to them as clients. So it's very real. It's real business. And as far as my um, agent, Claudia, she is phenomenal at her job. She finds me the coolest deals. And it's not even about money, it's about just opportunity and how I can engage with my network. Like, if I wanted to speak to an HBCU, I spoke to an HBCU a while back because they had a fashion showcase. And I wanted to just hype them up and let them know that they're beautiful superstars. I'm proud of them. So it's just things like that that align with who you are as a brand and who you are as a person. So my agent knows who I am as a brand and a person. She has actually helped me build it in a sense. So I love that all three of us are on the same page. And I got really lucky running into them. They have taken really good care of me for these past few years.
So, in terms of the agent and manager that you have, is the agent the one going out and securing you these clients? And then is the manager, because you're doing all the editing and filming. So, what role does the manager play in your kind of brand and NIL?
Right. So my manager keeps me incredibly organized. You can kind of think of her as a project manager, if you will. So, like, for example, if I have a brand deal with this hairspray company I'm working with now, they're called Eva NYC. I've been a fan of their brand before they ever reached out to me. She put together a whole document for me to fill out that says title of the video, caption, um, frame by frame, what am I talking about? Am I doing a voiceover? And she sends that to the client so that they can approve it. And then it gets sent back to me with edits, and then we go over the edits before I film. And that process can happen like 3, 4 times before the client approves the video. So that's pretty much what my manager does. And then as far as my agent, Claudia, she gets the deals. She can negotiate her butt off, man. She is good. She negotiates my deals. I think legally a manager cannot negotiate for you. You must be a licensed agent. So she handles all of that complicated stuff, looking over the contracts. She's so smart. So they both have very different jobs, but it's very cohesive and goes hand in hand. I think we make an excellent team, and I'm very thankful for them.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like only hear of agents and not the manager side. Like I thought it was kind of all under one umbrella. So it's interesting that you have both and it's very much so like a team effort to get you where you want to be and what you've done. So I think that was great insight because I had no idea whatsoever.
Thanks. I feel like it's because I'm with a bit of a bigger agency. They've been established for a long time and they have several clients. So they pretty much have everything figured out. And then they dipped their toe into this NIL space and they just kept their groove going. I feel like a lot of agencies now, they're kind of buds that start off NIL focused, and I'm sure over time they're gonna get to the point where they're having the same kind of duo thing going on. But I would give it a little bit of time. I'm just with the agency that's already been alive and running for a while.
With all of that, I am curious, Margzetta, is there a specific brand that you've really enjoyed working with, or a good story that you have with any of these brand deals, and why you did enjoy working with them?
Hmm. Very good question. I've worked with so many now. Ah, I need I need to think.
How many is so many, just to give us an idea?
I would say probably less than 30.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Less than 30. Um, I would say one of my favorites was the Air Force because, so first of all, my coach let me miss practice. Did she let me or did I finish it? We'll talk about that later. And then I was able to fly to Houston, and I really appreciated it. I don't know if it was in Houston. I forget. But I really appreciated that they covered the flight, all the travel expenses, on top of the payment for my gymnastics service that I provided to the Air Force. And so they put me in the firefighter training gear. They actually let me put the gear on. They let me put out real fire. Like there was fire. Like there was fire. I say calor, like fire. And I was in this Optimus Prime Megatron type ship car with a hose at the end. And I was just putting out fires in my ship, in my spaceship. It was called the Panther. So I would say that was one of my best brand deals because it's not often that you travel to a location and then they had a professional film team film me and then they sent me back home, all expenses covered. It was a great opportunity. They used that to promote more women in the Air Force, and I loved that the women I worked with were amazing, and being a part of it was just such an honor in itself. I did cry. I was able to shake people's hands, and it was just such a personal experience. One of the best experiences, one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. That's definitely up there. And I would also say a similar thing to that as far as sending a professional film crew, which I always think is cool. And it's less work for me to edit because I'm doing all the filming, all the editing. I'm out here in the wild, like putting my phone up in Target, like doing a cartwheel. So I'm glad that I didn't have to do that. CVS was another cool one. They had it all handled, and then I just walked home because CVS is right here. They just came to this one. And so those two were really cool. I know there's way more, but those ones stand out to me right now.
So, kind of wrapping it up here, broad question, but what can we expect from you next?
Ooh, what can you expect from me next? I need to get out of this imposter syndrome thing. Like the Olympics is going on right now. I would love to make some Olympic themed content. I never thought I was going to the Olympics. Like I, by the skin of my teeth, I got invited to national team camp and kind of like held my own. So I'm very like real. As optimistic and naive as I may be, I'm very realistic with myself. I'm very honest with myself. But I love watching the Olympics because I just know how hard they work. I remember back in the day when they had to go to Olympic camp before they went to the village. Olympic camp was harder than the Olympics, in my opinion. I wasn't there, but that's what I would think. Like being at the R word, being at the ranch, and just having to do like routine, and then fly and do more routines, podium training. Like, I feel like I have a little bit of that insight, and there's so much about gymnastics that I would love to share with the outside world. As far as a lot of people don't know that it's cold in the arena. Did you know that? And a lot of people don't know that the lights are so bright that you have to adjust to the lights or you're going to get lost in the air. So there's just things like that that I feel like the common viewer would really appreciate. And retiring now, I would love to put more on my platforms my journey with resting, learning how to rest. When I first retired, I was doing Pilates twice a day, walking like 7 miles. And if I wasn't out of breath and heaving and over by the end of my workout, I felt like I didn't accomplish anything. And that is not true. I am finally getting to the point where I go to the mall and walk around for exercise and I call it a day. So, and I've never felt healthier and I've never felt happier. And I really thought I would get into a depressive state, knock on wood, after retiring. But I really enjoy getting to know who I am without using gymnastics as a kind of like handicap for me. I don't have an excuse. I can't blame, I don't want to get up because I practice tomorrow. Like, I can't do that now. Like, I really have to be self efficient and self motivated for other purposes that I'm starting to figure out. And one of those, I'm rambling, but what you can expect from me, I'm going to get a real job. Don't play with me. I got my license. Okay, I'm on top of the world. What you can expect from me? World domination.
There we go. Love it.
Just to close off now, some fun rapid fire questions. Just 3 questions. Quick questions, quick answers. We'll start with the first one. Your dream NIL deal.
I want to go on vacation. Anybody, take me on vacation. I want to do one of those brand trips where they send you to like, I don't even know, Monaco or something.
Favorite athlete at the Olympics.
Jordan Childs, my girl Jordan. I'm so proud of her. Like, she really, I know these were supposed to be fast questions, but I just have to say, she did college and then went straight from a college to Houston to train at the World Champion Center and then went straight to the Olympics. And she had to stay so mentally resilient. I'm so proud of her. Okay, next question.
Very last one. What is the #1 public university in the world?
I'm going to say it starts with a B and it ends with a S.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Bleep
We'll leave
it
it there.
out.
We'll leave it broad. What?
Bleep it out.
It could be
It could
Bears,
be Bears. We're taking it as Bears.
or it could be Bruins. You
That
don't know.
part.
So it's a
I don't
smart
know.
answer. Very smart answer. We'll leave it there.
Thank you.
That concludes this episode, our first ever guest, Margzetta. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Your insight, your experience, just your words of wisdom for everyone listening. We really, really appreciate it. And we absolutely cannot wait to continue to root for you and be such a fan of who you are and who you're becoming in the future.
Thank you for having me. It's been such an honor and a privilege to be on your platform and for you guys to hear all my nonsense I'm spewing out. But I feel like I have been through a lot and I have a lot of knowledge in this area. I felt like I was kind of a little bit of a test dummy to some degree when it first kind of started happening. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Learn from my mistakes, learn from this podcast, and congratulations for building a brand. Like, this podcast is a brand. Like, this is huge. You guys should come out with some merch. I'll buy it.
Well, we'll have to set up an NIL deal with you for that merch.
Oh, I can do that.
We'll figure something out. But for now, that is it for today. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, click the follow button. That is it for today, Margzetta. First guest ever. Thank you so much. And for everybody else, we will see you all next time.
Bye.